We're on the My Gigs page here, and one thing that we forgot to do is to add a link up top here. So we don't want to have the user to have to enter in the URL every single time they want to take a look at their gigs. Let's give them an easy way to get to it. So in our header class here, or our header file here, partial, we'll want to just add another link here. So if the user is signed in, link to my gigs, and it would take you to the my gigs path. So if we do our routes here, let's take a look and see what that looks like. So it says my gigs right here. So we can just go to the my gigs path, and then let's add a class to it. So btn success navbar btn. Save it, do a refresh. So here are my gigs. So if I sign out, I won't get that, but if I sign in and I do bob.example and go to my gigs, here we go. So pretty simple way to link to this page right here. Now let's get these edit and delete links to work. So I like to close out of everything before I get started. So if we go back into my gigs here, you see that these aren't really doing anything. And it's good that we actually have our routes pulled up here because we have a gigs edit action that we want to do. So edit gig. So here, let's turn that into a link called edit, and actually, edit gig path. And which gig do we want to edit? So right now, if you take a look at our edit gig route right here, it says gigs and then /id. So we need to provide it the gig to edit. And to do that, we just have to pass in gig. So for each one of these, take this and pass it into our path here. Similarly, we can do the same thing with our delete. If we take a look here, we'll see we have, or we don't have a destroy action, but essentially what you can do is just point it to the gig path. So destroy gig, or destroy the gig up here. Sorry about that. Destroy the gig up here because we don't have a destroy path. Or we do, but it's a delete, not a get or post or put. So essentially all we have to do is just put in the gig right here. Which gig do you want to delete? I want to delete this gig. And for the method, now anytime you do a delete, you have to do a method delete. And then for the data, I like asking or confirming or having it pop up, are you sure you want to delete this gig? And then save it. So now if we do a refresh, these should work. So if we do an edit, it's going to tell us we don't have an edit action, which is fine, but let's delete one first. So let's delete this web development one. Are you sure? Okay. There is no destroy action. So we need to add both of these actions in. So go into our gigs controller. Let's start with the edit. I like placing my edit right above the update just to keep it all in order. So we'll create the edit here, and we'll have to find it. So we'll have to do, which gig do you want to edit? I want to edit the one that I'm on, and then we'll just redirect to, actually we don't need to do a redirect. That should work for us. Do a refresh. We just need to find what gig to edit. There you go. And that's just this one right here. Now it's telling us we don't have an edit view, so that's pretty easy to do. Now go back in here, and here we have it. And this is actually the edit page is actually going to look exactly the same as the new page. So if you Control-Alt and paste it in, it'll know to grab through just because Rails is auto magical things. It'll know to go and grab all of this data that was here before. And because this edit form and or the edit page and the new page are exactly the same, what I like doing is creating a new file and creating a partial here. So we'll just call it form, gig form, HTML ERB. And so I take all of this, copy it, paste it in here, and that way in here all I have to do is render gig form, and that should work. Do a refresh. There you go. So post a gig, same exact thing. So in order to keep our code dry and that way we're not repeating the same form all over the place, I just extracted it out into its own partial and then referenced that partial in the edit and new HTML files. So good, we've got that working for us. Now we need to get the destroy working for us. And this one's pretty simple as well. I like keeping my destroy at the very end. So we'll keep it right underneath this update so that you keep all the CRUD actions together. So destroy, you have to go find what gig, essentially doing the same thing up there. At gig.destroy, redirect to my gigs. So now if we do go to my gigs right here, we want to delete this international infrastructure engineer, just click on delete and then you'll delete it. So it's no longer there. Click on edit and we just want to say Rails dev update gig. It'll take us to the gig path or the gig show page, but if we go back in here you'll see that it's changed. So great, we've implemented the edit and destroy actions of our gigs and now it all works.